What's up, Nikki? How you doing, man?
Not too much, brother. How you doing? I like that hat.
Thanks, man.
Does that say fuck on it?
Fuck.
Where'd you get that?
Where did I get it? Some Spanish. ¿Cómo se dice?
No way. Is that the name of the brand?
Yeah. I actually saw it because
I'm pretty sure that means what did you say?
Yeah.
Right? That's so
they
funny.
just have like cool, like, I don't know, artsy, and it just is a golf guy swinging and
it's good for
fuck.
It's good for this week specifically.
Exactly.
TPC week. Anyone that's watching this podcast that is outside of Jacksonville or outside of Florida, then you probably don't know. But we've got one of the biggest tournaments in golf going down this week. One of my favorite tournaments, period. Not just because it's close to home, but because like it's called the Players Championship for a reason.
I find it, I mean, the Masters is the Masters. I think I saw Dan Rappaport say the other day that, like, this should be the major over the PGA Championship. It's got its own identity. It's at the same course every year.
Yep.
The PGA Championship has, moved around, and this should be, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I think the PGA, or the TPC, the Players, is the highest purse that you can win.
Yes, it
so
is.
even over the the Masters and everything, it's the biggest paycheck essentially. Yeah. Man, this is the first year that I probably don't think I'll make it out. I might be able to. Tomorrow's my day off. I'm gonna try to make it out on day one. My year, I wanted to follow somebody. I have never, it's always going on Saturday and Sunday, and you kind of just chill out and get hammered on the 17th, lawn, and just wait for the crowd to explode because a hole-in-one happened, and then it's like, when's the next drink happening? I want to follow somebody.
It's more of a social gathering type of thing. And I will say, so they did move it. It used to be in May, and now it's in March, which is a great thing because the reason I wouldn't follow anybody is because I'm not standing in the sun and walking 3 miles just to follow a guy.
Shout out Shane Sean for that info.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely shout out Shane Sean. Yeah, ladies, if you're looking to get any dope fits for this TPC or whatever, because for the girls, it's just like a fashion thing. It's like to go out there, you get all dressed up, and it's a social event. And but no, Shay and Sean got you guys locked up over there for sure. I will say the TPC, I've always done the same thing. I've never followed a golfer. It's always been something I wanted to do, but it is the hardest course. If you're just watching from TV, because the past 2 years I haven't gone yet either. I've gone every single year up until this past 2, just because with things going on with the pod, it is a tough time of the year to make it out there.
It is.
And it is, if you're watching the course from TV, it is impossible, dude. Even hole 18, it looks like such a simple hole, but the fairway on it is so skinny, and the way it kind of dog legs off to the left, there are so many parts of TPC that there's so many parts of the Sawgrass Stadium course in particular that it's impossible to play, dude. I mean, I would love to see what one of us would score out there. It'd be a terribly high number.
I have had the pleasure of playing it.
No way.
Twice.
No way.
I didn't tell you this before?
No, I've never heard this.
I probably shot 100 plus on both rounds. That's one of the hardest courses, but it is one of the coolest because you get the meal halfway, full-fledged meal, but you have a caddy, and he's on your golf cart, so you and I would be playing. He literally stands on the back, holds on, and what dude does, they've got him. I wonder how many calories those guys burn. If you were watching this and you do this, I'm curious. But they literally, you're at the tee box, they sprint 300 yards out, and they stand where they want you to hit it.
No
So you literally
way.
are standing, or you're hitting, and you're you want to hit this dude, basically.
Yeah.
And he's watching the ball coming right at him, because he's basically standing where it's kind of exactly what a caddy would do.
Dude, that's a scary fucking job. You hit
Yeah.
a stinger the correct way, and that's just you can't get out of the way of it, bro. And it's so hard to tell what direction a golf ball is going to go when it comes off the club.
It's crazy.
That is insane.
It's ballsy. I think one of our friend Connor, isn't Connor? Is that his name, Connor?
Well, who?
He's a caddy at TPC, right?
Oh my God, the DJ.
Yeah.
I think he used to be. I don't even think he lives here anymore.
curious.
That's so funny. Yeah, he used to be. Okay, we need to reach out to him. We'll get back to you guys with this information. But yeah, I'm curious about that as well. I did hear that if you play that course and you're just a regular, you're not a member or anything like that or whatever, you do get a personal caddy that follows you around, which is sick. I mean, that would be one of the funnest jobs ever, not gonna lie. And I mean, but you got to think, bro, you're in the middle of June. You got to know golf. You got to know that course. But dude, in the middle of June, sprinting all the way 300 yards to go and be hit it here, dude, that's crazy. It is one of the most prestigious courses, and
by far.
I agree with what you say about the Masters is the Masters, right? There is a certain aura that comes with the Masters and winning it and getting that green jacket. But the Players Championship, dude, is like iconic, man.
Is.
And we're so blessed to live near one of the best courses on tour.
Crazy.
Like, you know, it ain't Pebble Beach or nothing, so it doesn't necessarily have the name of some of these other courses, but Sawgrass is just from someone that lives like fairly close to Ponte Vedra, like both of us do. Everything around Sawgrass is like golf only. That's the only thing those people care about is golf. It's like a golf town. Ponte Vedra is like strictly like all about golf. And I think it's beautiful, man. I think that like the TPC in general is it's just such a prestigious event, you know?
One thing I really like about TPC is how they like honor the local like brands. Like shout out Casey and LaFave because like they have one of the dopest drops back-to-back years. I've even seen people who aren't even like Jacksonville natives or don't even care, and they're like kind of reviewing the merch, which I didn't know that the merch opened like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
My mom or my sister and my dad went, and for real, like shout out Casey because I know Casey through like the pod, and I was there at like one of the 4 a.m. drops.
Yeah.
But he came up to my little sister and my dad and were like, thank y'all for like, you know, showing out, and they blew a bag on a bunch of gear and stuff like that. But
dude, Casey is so legendary with everything he touches turns to gold. But then with the TPC drops in particular, not even like for one, the clothes that he's making are so premium, dude. It's
Crazy.
like I want one of every single item that he drops for TPC. And the other thing that's so cool about it is his marketing. His marketing is always top tier, like regardless of what drop he's doing. But the marketing for TPC is always so next level. He's got like Jags players out there. Like pretend, did you see the ad where Cam Little like kicks the ball? Dude, it is like, he is so legendary. Obviously, Casey knows it, you know, and everyone that watches this pod is probably a big fan of Casey. But just specifically, like this is his Super Bowl. Like whenever he does these drops, man, because last year I'm pretty sure he sold out of like 3 or 4 items before the tour or before the tournament even started.
Yep.
Like, so it's like, imagine going out there on Tuesday, you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get here for a practice round. I want to get some of the merch early, and it's already sold out.
Gone.
He had, I think last year was his first year doing the official, because you have to get like accepted to be an actual like
licensed.
You have to like to be a licensed member. It's just like the same with NFL teams and shit. And it's such a huge accomplishment to even do that. But then you've got people that are going 3 days early, like you said, and they're standing in line. Dude, last year the line was like out to the freaking parking lot. And it's like, I don't know, shout out to Casey. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know if you saw the one, I forget what artist he kind of like mimicked it off of, but he did a shirt and it's like, there's like.
Oh, Keith Haring? I got that.
Dude, no way.
Yeah, I almost wore it tonight.
Oh my God.
So it's funny because the 904 hat, the main one, he didn't drop it. Apparently there's one hat that he didn't drop and it didn't, or I don't know. He didn't have it in stock at the, merch tent.
Yeah.
It's the 904 with the oranges and stuff in the middle, but it's like gold and navy. And I bought that today at like 9 this morning. I'm pretty sure it's already at my doorstep.
No way.
I'm almost positive it's at my doorstep. I'm like, I don't know if it's just because
he's legendary. Yeah. He's fucking legendary.
I mean, his team over there is great. Like, we're just fucking sucking his dick over here now.
For sure. His team is awesome too. I remember I've ordered so many things from LaFave, bro. But the one he did a Alabama drop.
Yep.
Had to snag it because I've been waiting on him to do that for a while. And I ordered it online, and you can do in-store pickup. Literally, bro, like 6 hours later, I went and picked it up.
I should have.
You can do in-store pickup, but I think that it depends though, because if there's like big events going on, like certain times the place isn't even open. Like he'll let all his people. I don't know if I'm speaking out of my ass right now, but like I guess like the people just aren't there, or they're on lunch or something, or they're at the TPC or whatever the case is. Like when they have a big drop, it's hard to get in there and do it. But the fact that you did delivery and it's already there is so impressive.
I might be wrong, but I already got the label and I've already got like the shipped and expect it tomorrow, or it could be at my doorstep right now. I don't know.
Crazy, bro.
I'm like, damn.
Shout out to Casey. Shout out to TPC. Big week for the boys. I hope
someday to be
if
on
we
there.
can't get out there, literally. If we can't get out there this year, I definitely would like to make it a thing next year. I saw that they actually do media passes. I know a couple people that got a media pass. Bro, Gronk is at this. Bro,
everybody's at this.
Kay Adams, is that her name? The girl that does Up and Adams show. Bro, I saw she was out there and I'm like, I would love to interview her one day. Just because she's like Mia. She's like very just full of knowledge and just such a good sports like fanatic. You know what I mean? Like I would love to interview her one day. But they got Gronk. They've got like,
I'm sure I saw J.R. Smith was playing at the Yards earlier.
Yeah.
Like, who was it? A little bit smaller, but his name's Eric Lottery. He's like a golf influencer, but he's like,
oh, I've seen this guy.
Yeah, RNG.
Yeah.
Real boy golf.
Yeah.
It is the funniest thing because he's like, It's just so cool. And I think I saw Chase and Macy ran into him last night, and I was like, dude, that'd be cool to run into, like, just somebody you see on Instagram. And I'm sure that they've got all types of media people and influencers and stuff.
Like, if we could just like run into Gronk, imagine being like, oh, you're here for an extra day, like just stop by the pod for an hour. Like, we'd love for you to check out the studio and just like do that thing, bro. I will make whatever arrangements we have to make to interview half of those people, bro. Even just because it'd
off
be
the
such
first tee or fresh off the, after the scorecard submission, like.
We could even take mini mics and interview them out there. I didn't even think about that. Like, see, that would be clutch.
That would be
like,
nuts.
Dude, you could interview fucking 20 people. They're all like the big, bro. I think we're onto something. So we need to remember this episode for next year TPC, because I didn't know they really did like outside media passes like that. And when I saw a couple of people that got one, I was like, okay, why did we not apply for this? Because I was like, damn, apparently they're saying yes to just anybody. Anyway, watch a bit of win of the week.
Let's do
All
it.
right, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 148, win of the week. Want me to start us off?
Hit it up.
So, shout out to my girl Cassidy. She reached out to Kathy's Table, which is like a meal prep kind of service or whatever, and asked if we wanted to do like some kind of partnership where basically like we review some of their food, and in exchange, they give us some free meals for it.
That's sick.
I'm not even going to say the value, but I'm going to be eating, me and Cassidy are going to be eating free meal prep for a very long time. Bro, they hooked it up. And
That's sick.
I love doing the review videos anyway. Like most of our reviews, if you guys have seen me do food reviews on Instagram, it's like I've paid for that. You know what I mean? Like I went and I just wanted to do a video for it, and I pay for the meal and I do it and the review for free, and it's just like fun. I'm just trying to build like my personal account, I guess.
Why not?
And it was so cool, like going up to the like Kathy's Table HQ and picking out the meals, and like when she gave us the bags like full of all the stuff, I was like, it's gonna be tough to even eat through just this week's worth of meals. Like she hooked it up, bro. And there's a couple items on there I wanted to shout out. The peanut butter protein bars, so fucking good. It tastes like a glorified Reese's peanut butter cup. And they've got these things, they're called runner's cookies. And they're like these healthy, like you can tell like when you kind of bite into it, like this is a healthy cookie, but it's very easy to put down. Oh, 100%, dude. Like if you got some munchies, like you will tear this thing up. Like
I need video them bitches.
I literally finished all the peanut butter bars last night. It's 13 grams per thing. Dude, I probably got like 60 grams of protein last night.
Sick.
And then she does like snack boxes and all these cool things, dude. Shout out to Kathy's Table. I was not expecting this partnership to go as good as it did. And
I've always loved the idea of like the Factor and the Hello Fresh, but like that's just corporate, and I feel like that's coming from like a Fairfield.
There is something special. This is the first time I've ever done a meal prep service, but there's something special about coming home and your dinner's already ready. And it's already, the macros are already there. You know what you're eating, because I've tried to do the like counting macros thing, and it's such a bitch, bro. Just because
So
it's like,
hard.
I'm not going through every nutrition label of every fucking item that I'm eating. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not happening. And like, with like Factor or Kathy's Table or any of these like things, you literally look at the top of it and it shows you what your macros are, and you're like, oh sweet. Like for me, I'm just trying to hit my protein intake. Like I could care less about carbs and all the other shit. But like my protein intake is like the number one thing I'm trying to focus on. And like with Kathy's, I'm like, okay, I know that each time I eat one of these, it's 13 grams. And it's like, I don't know, it's just sick, bro. Shout out to Kathy's. I'm gonna keep my win of the week short this week. I got to meet Kathy herself. She's so nice.
I gotta defend my comment because I did. However, his food review, I gave him a hard time because first athletic meal I think it was broccoli, rice, and chicken, and I was like, that plain ass shit looks bussin'. I'm a plain Jane guy. I love plain food. I've always wanted to open like a restaurant or like have a restaurant that's inspired by like people that have hella allergies like me, and like how do I master a fucking Belgian waffle, like a plain ass waffle? Like what is that? I want the best plain food ever. So I want to come and try that athletic because that actually looks really good.
Should.
It sounded sarcastic.
Your comment, like when I first read it, I was like, okay, well that was off the wall. But then, but then once, I mean, you did say at the end, you're like, it looks so bussin' or whatever. And then I responded to it, and like as our comments kept going, it got nicer and nicer. And then Kathy liked it, and I was like, okay, we're in the clear, But no, shout out to Kathy's Table, so fucking good. I'll be eating those meals for the next month. Also, shout out to my girl Cassidy for securing that deal. I think it was really cool that she reached out and made that happen. So, anything you guys see me like do a partnership or anything with it's typically because my girlfriend made that happen. So, what's your win of the week?
My loss of the week is the Baltimore Ravens.
Dude.
How about that?
Dude. Isn't that crazy?
I don't know if I want to turn that into my win of the week because I would love to have Max Crosby and Jax.
Oh, if we have Max Crosby and Jax, we are going to the Super Bowl next year without a doubt.
We were just talking about it. Like I don't think we just made like maybe 20 minutes ago our first like non-Jaguars like free agency move.
Yeah,
we got a running back out of Chris
Rodriguez. Or whatever.
From Washington, who was a pretty solid backup to what's his face? Not Austin Eckler, but Brian Robinson.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that whole like I know he had as somebody who had a meniscus and like ACL tear. Like I know how like physicals can like be portrayed and stuff, but you made it obvious about like the Trey Hendrickson thing. I had no clue that like the back out of the trade and probably had a lot to do with Trey Hendrickson.
I'm gonna say this right now. So I actually was listening to 1010 this morning, and they made a really good point. Apparently, the Ravens have done this more than this has happened. Like this is like a steady thing the Ravens have done. They're kind of like wishy-washy. Like they'll throw everything at a player, and then like if other things start happening, they'll back out of the deal. In my opinion, once it's official, suck it up. Like don't offer the guy if you haven't seen the physical. Why are you offering him your 2 first-round picks? Like, are you an idiot? Honestly, and so that's why I think the physical thing is more of a lie than anything. And it's like they saw Trey Hendrickson was going for a much lower price than they were expecting, and they're like, well, shit, we'll take a guy that's maybe a little bit not as good as Max Crosby, maybe a little bit like down a tier. I don't think Trey Hendrickson's a bad player at all, but he's not Max Crosby, let's be honest. No. And I think that they saw him going for a lower price, and they're like, oh, screw Max. Let's go get someone else. And then they're trying to make up all this bullshit. Like they were trying to get both players. Don't do all that. There's no team in this league is going to be able to afford Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. Just suck it up. Yeah, honestly, like that is a good L of the week. Like, fuck the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. Like, and they have so many problems going right now. They just let go of Isaiah Likely. They have not re-signed Lamar Jackson to an extension. There was another guy they let go of too, and it's like
they're like all pro fullback, which was like I don't know. I love old fashioned like style offense with a fullback. And they got let go of Patrick Ricard, which is one of the best like fullbacks and just kind of like their flex options.
Their punter's the number one punter in the NFL. They let him walk, and I'm like, are y'all stupid? Like, it's just one of those things where you gotta. I mean, the Jags have been there too, where we're looking at the Jags like y'all are stupid. And you gotta trust the process. But if you're a Ravens fan, I know you're kicking yourself right now because it's just got to be so hard to watch. But
I just want to know what we do because like James Gladstone, you better have a good draft this year. I need another repeat of last year.
Well, if we're being honest, dude, like we haven't really like the 2 players we let go of, Devin Lloyd and Etienne. I'm okay with letting them walk because we would have paid them an astronomical amount of money. And Etienne, in my opinion, great running back. He is not Bijan. He is not Saquon. He is not Derrick Henry. He is not like any of these like all-stars. And he went to the Saints and got paid like an all-star. So
and he's back at home. That was one thing is that they gave him what he wanted. He wanted to be somewhere he was home.
Yeah,
he was from Louisiana
for sure. But it's funny, like, because when we let Devin Lloyd walk, in my opinion, like, Devin Lloyd's a great player. I'm not shitting on him in any means, but, like, he's older. He's not the best player.
I was happy with the Devin Lloyd move, I'll be honest.
Same.
I'll be honest. Like, yeah, he had the greatest. He's not going to have a repeat season.
Never.
He's a little bit older.
Dude, he's been on the Jags for a few seasons. He was never this good but once we started getting better defensive player, like the corner that we were signed, Buster Brown, like some of these guys that we're re-signing, like they're the reason Devin Lloyd had so much success because, bro, Devin Lloyd's low-key like our third best, I mean, maybe our second best linebacker. We've got Aluakon. We just signed Dennis Gardak or whatever to another deal. Like, we've got guys, bro. We're fine.
We've got young talent. That's what I like.
I'll tell you what, it feels so good to be in this position where you're like on the outside looking in at all these other teams fucking up, dude. And I'm like, we got our people.
Yep.
I would be perfectly confident going into the season with who we have right now and still making a run at it.
I'm just glad that we're getting rid of some dead cap,
For sure.
Like, Balky left us with bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit. The amount of, like, dead cap salary space, like, is ridiculous.
Balky would re-sign players that really did not deserve it at all. Like, Balky was, anyone that lives in Jax knows that Balky was an absolute clown, and he ruined this team for every season that he was part of it. He would find a way to ruin the season or ruin this team in the offseason. And, like, it is what it is. Go Jags, baby. That's all I have to say. Go fucking Jaguars.
I will say the AFC South is looking a little scary. The Titans,
and they re-signed
Robert Saleh is the bald boys are coming. That whole coaching staff is bald. and they're picking up some good free
Oh
agents.
my God, the bald boys. That's so funny. You think about that.
Every single coach is bald. It's Brian Dable.
Yep.
Robert Saleh, and then it just keeps going down. Everybody's bald. But then the Texans, they're making some big moves, and I'm like,
Colts went and re-signed Daniel Jones, which I was kind of like, obviously we saw that coming, but Daniel Jones was a menace in the AFC South last year, bro.
That was the biggest fall off of the year, and that shows how like important one single person can be to a team because they fell
100%.
off as soon as he got
100%. We could sit here and talk NFL free agency all day because, to be 100% real, this is one of my favorite times of the year. Is NFL free agency. I love, like, obviously nothing beats the season, but like the first little like glimpse back into football after the season is over is the like free agency portal opening and like seeing these players get traded. And
I love the like update news, like breaking. That gets my heart going.
Same.
I love a little bit of like,
You just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Like with a game, like you can kind of like take predictions at a game and like do this, that, and the third. But like until you're actually, there and they're trading players and they're making moves, like until then you're kind of like, you don't really know like what does this mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. But nonetheless, episode 148. I'm very excited about today's guest. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right, let's do it, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, Noah Bennett. How you doing, brother?
I'm great, brother. How are you, man?
Not too bad. Pleasure having you on the show. So I didn't realize this until you came in here. We started talking about it. I know you looked familiar, but me and you actually have some roots.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we're both beach rats.
Yeah, that's what they call
it.
Look
it.
Yeah, Fletcher boys. Yeah,
that's so funny. So you graduated in 2015, right?
2015. Yeah. So just had that 10-year reunion. Didn't go, but
oh, see, I didn't even realize they do that because I didn't technically graduate from Fletcher. Mm-hmm. I went to a different high school and graduated from there. And it's funny, like I was kind of mentioning this to you a little bit beforehand, where like once I moved to a different high school, I completely forgot about like. Close friends you remember, obviously, but like anyone that were just like passing by, I'm like, I know I recognize you, but I don't know what your name is or how I know you or what class we had together, but I'm sure we had a couple.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing about high school, right? It's like some people are your friends because you saw them 5 days a week.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then after that, it's whatever.
And did you go to college after high school?
Yeah, so I did 2 years at Florida State College at Jacksonville. Okay. And then I transferred to University of Florida. And then I just did my graduate degree at The Ohio State University.
Okay, nice.
Congrats.
And which out of University of Florida, Ohio State, which one are you rocking?
Oh, man, let's are we talking basketball or football?
Oh, my God, I guess both, man.
Okay, well, I feel like Florida's a basketball school now.
True.
Right? I agree.
True.
But I got to tell you, being up at Ohio State, I learned a real, genuine hatred for the team up north. Which is Michigan for all you folks down here. Oh, yeah. Like, as a Jags fan, how much you hate the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So for 3 years, I watched Michigan beat our ass. My last home game as a student, they planted the flag on our field. It was the most disrespectful thing ever.
Well, that rivalry is real, man.
It's so real.
Yeah. Like I follow this podcast, Bussin' with the Boys, and this guy, Taylor Lewan, that hosts that show, he went to Michigan, and he is like, dude, he's so brutal against Ohio State. Like, anytime he can bash Ohio State, he does, and there's a beauty in that because it's like true rivalry football. Like, it's two very competitive schools every year. But no, I kind of see it from the outside looking in, like that hatred. I bet it's even realer when you're going to Ohio State or Michigan, right?
Yeah. Do you know what happens during rivalry week on campus?
No, not really.
Okay. Anything. I mean, literally anything on campus with the letter M, we're putting red tape over it.
No way.
Yeah, and like if you're typing something digitally, you're using that red X emoji if there's an M.
No way.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so like there's some buildings on campus you'll walk around year round and they will just have been too lazy to have taken the tape down and it's still hanging out.
That's so cool. Funny.
Everywhere on campus.
That's crazy. So do you, I guess, Florida, when you were at Florida, I guess they were okay, right, at football?
Yeah, we had Dan Mullen as our coach when I was there, but I graduated right before the Kyle Pitts year, which is probably the most competitive we've been in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, Ohio State, they had some dogs too while you were there, even though they didn't beat Michigan every year.
We won the Natty this past year, which is when I was there. So I got to go to the 2 years ago.
And Michigan beat them that year?
Yeah. So Michigan
way.
beat us that year. We were ready to run Ryan Day out of town.
That's
and then
crazy.
we played Texas and Oregon in the playoffs, and then we beat Notre Dame in the championship, and it was
that's right.
unbelievable. Yeah.
See, I don't keep up with college football the way that I should. Like, I know enough to like get by. I'm a Bama fan at heart, so like not as big of a Bama fan as I am a Jaguar fan, but I'll keep up with like Bama stuff. And then whenever it comes to college football, once Bama's like out of it, which is extremely rare, that's usually when I'm checked out from college football, you know?
That's pretty much how I'm with basketball. It's Gators or nothing else, really. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. See, that's kind of nice, though. You go to two different universities, you can kind of like rep either one. Like, if the Gators get good, like here, I mean, who knows if that'll ever happen, but if the Gators get good at football, like you can kind of rock with them a little bit too, you know?
I mean, I think it's cool to claim your school, you know, to wear your colors with pride. But yeah, we won the national championship in football, and then 2 months later, the Gators won the national championship in basketball. So
You got the best of both worlds, man.
for the first time in my life, though. I mean, we were just talking about being Jags fans.
Right.
It's like we've come close so many times, right?
Yeah, we just talked about that a bunch in the intro.
I was going to ask you, like, because I did Florida State College, Jacksonville too, and like I never got to experience it. But what's it being like born and raised in Jackson, like going out to a place like Ohio State and like Ohio, where you're kind of landlocked in a way? Like, what's that experience like?
Dude, it's unbelievable. I realized how much I miss the water. Like my friend Malcolm, who is from Dayton, Ohio, he told me he came on my bachelor trip, right? And he was like, "There's something different about all y'all." He was like, "All y'all grew up by the water. There's just something different about you."
Yeah.
And so I realized how depressed I was not being able to just go to the beach and go surf and things like that. Also, being up in Ohio, they have the most gray days of any like city in the U.S.
Really?
I remember one. Yeah, I would have thought it was like Seattle or something or New York, but apparently it's Columbus. And I remember one time going like 10 days without actually seeing the sun.
That's
not
nuts.
to say it wasn't light outside. I just did not see the actual sun for like 10 days. It was insane.
Just because of like overcast or
Yeah.
what? Really?
Yeah, it was insane. But if you want to talk positive side of things, being at a huge school like that, I mean, you want to talk about the college experience. Like, there's just no better vibe than game day at Ohio State. You know, we're getting college game day out there. We get all the major concerts in Columbus and things like that. The university is so big that there's a department for everything. Anything you could ever need at a school, like they had it. And I felt so blessed to be in my program where like I was getting to do theater and film work, but I also was just a short walk away from a motion capture studio. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go do some work over there, you know?
For sure.
And I'm seeing posters on the wall of like Pixar movies that some of their alumni have worked on. And you go, man, that is what the Buckeye Network is. It's just, it's so big you can't even comprehend it. Yeah.
For sure. That is a really cool point. I'm glad you brought up the theater and film thing because, you know, obviously that's a good segue into what you're doing now. And let's go ahead and give the people actually a quick like background on that. So when did you get involved with theater and film and everything you're doing now?
So it's something I've wanted to do pretty much my whole life. When I was at Fletcher, I was doing the drama program there. You know, that's kind of where I got the bug early. And right after I graduated high school, I was very fortunate to get my first play published. So I get to say I'm a published playwright. This play gets produced all over the world, and it's super cool. And I was also like getting into the independent film scene around here and just starting to figure out what that means to perform live in front of an audience versus being on camera and just sort of blocking out that side of things. And so for a couple of years, I was just sort of finding my own way, doing community theater around here, doing independent films, Jacksonville 48-Hour Film Festival, things like that.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to sort of take this to the next level. And so when I went to Ohio State, I was entering a process where I was auditioning for a bunch of grad schools at the same time. And it's sort of like you're in a room with 300 people that all want the same thing as you, and you're just auditioning for a bunch of different schools. And if they're interested in you, they'll call you back. And I was lucky to get a handful of callbacks. And what really drew me to Ohio State was they were a new works forward program. And so what that means is they were like, we don't really want you to see yourself as just an actor, right? Because if you just see yourself as an actor, you're really just waiting on somebody to offer you your next job. Whereas you see so many successful, like famous people or creative people, they write their own opportunities or they create their own things. I mean, we're sitting in y'all's studio right now. This is something you've created. It's an opportunity for yourself.
For sure, yeah.
So they taught us how to create our own opportunities for stage, for film. We got to dabble in motion capture, like I said. And so I really went into that program thinking of myself as an actor. And now I think about myself more as a well-rounded artist. And so I'm in the middle of touring a solo show I created. It's a live theatrical performance, still doing film work here and there.
So how does that work? I want to jump into the background of that. So what was the name of the show again? It's like a radio show, isn't it?
Yeah,
technically?
it's called the Phil Mitchell Radio Hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's a play. And
Yeah.
so, I think we've all seen like the, Glee or like things like that. Like this is so foreign to me, you know what I mean? When it comes to like plays and stuff like that. But basically what this is like a ticketed event that you would go to, right? And watch you guys perform on stage or whatever. And it would be like watching a movie getting made kind of behind the scenes. Is that like similar to what it would be?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you're watching the action unfold in real time, right? You're seeing a story encapsulated in for this show, 65 minutes, right? So any scene changes, any location changes have to be like very specifically established. And so that requires the audience to sort of what we call suspend their disbelief a little bit. You have to understand there's a little manufacturing going on into what you're seeing.
For sure.
When I was up in New York, I just saw a show at the Cherry Lane Theater, which is a theater that A24 took over.
Okay.
All right. So that's a film studio taking over a theater. And I was really interested to see how they would approach the work. And so you're seeing walls between scenes like slide out and change shapes. And you go, okay, we just went from being in a bedroom to being in a bar.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
So cool.
And so I don't have those kinds of resources available to me. So this show, it's like the audience, it's the actual audience. It's as if they are a part of the live studio audience for this character's radio show.
Wow.
And so it's about an evangelical radio host who's on air when the rapture happens.
That is crazy.
That's a cool concept.
Thank you.
I like that.
What did the inspiration for this show come from?
Oh, I love this question because nobody ever guesses it. I was watching an archived episode of the Howard Stern show, and it was on 9/11. And what I thought was like so fascinating about that was like the first plane hit and everyone thought it was an accident, right? A terrible accident.
Yeah.
But Howard Stern is still doing the Howard Stern thing. He's cracking jokes and whatnot. And then the second plane hit and everyone knew we were under attack. And so he's continuing the show. He's still trying to be Howard Stern, but you can kind of see these cracks in the armor a little bit. And he's trying to like rein it in and hold it in.
Yeah.
And I thought that tension was so fascinating. And I was like, what is a similar style event I can explore through a mostly comedic lens? And I was raised religious. And I was like, you know what? The rapture.
That is so cool.
And, so I started thinking about televangelists, like, Joel Osteen's an easy one that comes to mind, Jim Bakker, Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland's the guy who was like, he's like outside of his private plane, and they're like, why do you own a private plane? And he's like, because God told me to buy that plane. So
that's so funny.
All those influences come into play, when you see the show. And part of the reason I'm even rocking this look right now is because I'm between shows on this little tour I'm doing.
That's cool.
So, yeah, big mustache, sideburns, all that stuff.
Oh, it's great, dude. And so I think that concept for a show is super interesting, obviously, like with it being during the rapture or whatever. So from what I'm taking from this is like, it's, in a way, it's sort of improv, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a live show. So you can't, like, you're not gonna be like, oh, let's redo that. You know what I mean? You're gonna like play it as improv. Like, I'm sure you have a script too, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably like reading off the script, and then do you have other people that are doing this with you, or is it a solo show?
So it's a solo performance, but there are some pre-recorded bits as like people that call into his radio show.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah. So that stuff's pre-recorded, but everything you see live is just me. And to your point, like I am pretty bound to the script, but at the same time, since I wrote it and since the audience is different every night, I get to play around with that a little bit. There's a part where I go out in the audience and I make 2 people pray with me, and that changes every night. And it's my favorite part of the show to do because it crushes every night.
How does that go?
What do you mean? How's that bit
Like,
go?
how does that go? Like when you go and you pick out 2 random people, or are they already like pre-selected in your head?
Oh, no. It's maybe like 20 minutes into the show.
Okay.
So I kind of have to like clock 2 people that I think look game.
Yeah.
And I always ask him, like, he speaks in the Southern accent, so he's going up and he's like, everyone close your eyes, bow your head. May I hold your hand? May I hold your hand? And if there's like an empty seat, I'll get up on the seat too, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone's sitting there, eyes closed, heads bowed, and they just hear me go, Lord. And just go on a 2-minute prayer where I'm shouting out God and Jeff Bezos and everything in between.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Thank you.
And so do you try to, like, is there any sorts of parts of the show where you try to like implement your own kind of style with it? Or, you know, I guess with something like this, it's like, this is all you that created it, right? So do you try to play like a different character, or do you almost try to stay like a little bit like true to yourself with some of these characters you play?
Oh man, that's a great question. I was given like a little bit of criticism with the show early on, and I won't really like delve into who or why, but they just felt like the show wasn't vulnerable in any way, because they were like, oh, it's funny, you're playing for laughs, even though there's like a horror element later in the show. And I kind of made the argument, I was like, I actually think it is kind of vulnerable, because it's allowing me to talk about something that is very close to how I was raised, which is religion. Like me as Noah, I wouldn't feel super comfortable talking about these things, but when I put it through the lens of a character, it makes it easier to approach.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's the name of the character in the play?
Phil Mitchell.
Phil Mitchell. Okay, I got you. Okay. Duh. But it's very interesting how, like, so are you on a radio? Are you like does the set look like you're on a radio show the whole time, and then you kind of like implement all these different parts of it? I would love to pay money to actually see this thing. Like, are you guys do you do shows in Jacksonville as well?
So I haven't done it in Jacksonville yet. I'm currently negotiating a space for it, because I want it to be really special when I bring it home.
Absolutely.
You know, because it is a live experience. I care so much about the audience experience. You know, theater is expensive. It's expensive. And it's also like, you have to be an active audience member in a different way than if you go to see a movie. You know, I go to see a movie, I'm wearing my favorite hoodie, I got snacks in my lap. You know, every theater's got a recliner, I'm chilling. But theater, it's kind of like, you know, that performer can see you out there, so you kind of like sit up a little bit more. You know, there's a little more tension you're holding. And so I think you have to reward anybody walking through the door that's willing to do that. And so I want it to be really special when I bring it home. So I'm working on what that's going to look like. So hopefully that'll be this summer. We'll see. Yeah, what was the other part of the question again?
Well, I was just really curious if you were going to bring it here, because I think it's so interesting. Like, is the set itself? It's like it's just built out like a radio show, essentially, right?
Yeah. So when I do it at festivals and whatnot, usually you have to set up the show and break it down pretty quickly. And the setup's pretty easy. The breakdown's pretty hard because the show gets messy. Spoiler.
Okay.
But it's like a table that's covered with like this red velvet tablecloth, so it looks like really proper. There's like a kind of microphone arm like this. He's got his microphone on a stand, nice chair. I've got a whole table of some props and things to my side. But for the most part, I try and keep the stage open so I can play in it. I go out in the audience too. And there's a lot of projection in the show. So there's a projector screen behind me every time I do the show.
Okay, nice.
And I did all that media design too. So.
Do you get nervous doing these shows ever? Because it's just you up there, bro.
Yeah, no. I mean, I just did a run in New York, and I'll be honest, having critics for the first time out in the audience was like kind of wigging me out a little bit, because you're like, somebody is going to publish something about my show, and for better or worse, when people look up my show now, whatever they write is about to come up.
Yep. True.
So that was like a different level of nerves, but for the most part, I get pretty excited. There's always a certain point in the show where I'm like, okay, the most difficult part is over with.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I've been living with the show for like 2 years now.
Okay.
I did the first production in 2024 as a 25-minute show, so it was a little bit different. But
What kind of tweaks do you make to the show to make it better? Have you changed a lot of it since you've been on tour doing it?
yeah, absolutely. So when I first developed it at grad school, we did it in kind of a traditional theatrical black box, meaning it's just a room. The chairs can be arranged in any way, but you have full complements of lighting and sound. So I just had sound and light, and I did what I thought was pretty cool with that. And when I expanded it, I was like, how can I dig deeper on the writing, say more? In that 25-minute version, there was like maybe 5 minutes of like horror content in it.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I want to spend way more time in that world. And what's the freakiest stuff I can do? And how do I achieve this with practical effects? Because if you see somebody knock their teeth out on stage, like you see that with your own eyes, you're going to be like, how in the hell did they pull that off?
Yeah.
Right? So a little bit of magic work with that. And then when I was doing the media design, when I decided to start using a projector, it was like, how can I have visual gags, things that support the show and enhance the storytelling, things like that. There's like a really great cutaway gag I added where there's a rival show. And it's like, oh, if we're still here, that show's got to be there. Can we cut to their feed? And it cuts to an empty church, and there's piles of clothes everywhere. He's like, no, turn that off, don't look at that.
Because of the rapture.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around it because it's such a cool concept. Because you have the creative freedom to kind of do what you want with it in a way.
That's the beautiful thing. Yeah. Until it's a published script, yeah, this thing can continue to live and be fluid. And, I get feedback from people too. I wear a microphone in the show now next to my mouth, which I didn't used to because I could be loud. But I had a friend, they were like, I wish your voice had a different quality when you were on air doing the show versus when you're off air talking to the audience.
Oh, true.
And so
I got a point.
I actually took a guitar pedal and repatched it so that it could recognize my vocals. And so now I have these different vocal qualities throughout the show, and I don't want to spoil the really cool way in which it's used in the end.
Don't.
Yeah, it totally transforms the performance in that way.
Is it difficult to take a show like this on the road? Like, how big of a struggle is it for you to take it? I mean, you went all the way to New York. You were in Ohio, and then, obviously you've got roots in Florida. But did you have connections in New York, like with a theater that you could get involved with or something?
No. So there's a theater in Manhattan, which is probably it's literally like a 4-minute walk from the Garden and maybe like a 7-minute walk from Times Square, just kind of give you an idea of where it is.
Okay.
It's called The Tank, and they really try to be a theater that supports new work, meaning they're like, as long as we feel that your show kind of fits into our mission and what we want to do, we want to give you the keys to the kingdom a little bit. So I had initiated a conversation with them April of last year, just to let you know how long it's been in the works. I just did the show last weekend. I started a conversation April last year.
Damn.
And they were like, we'll review your materials and things. And in that time, I had done Atlanta Fringe, and their head of marketing saw my show. And, I'm sure he put in a good word having seen it. I know he really enjoyed it. And, by the end of the summer, I'm having a conversation with the artistic director, who's the person that's going to curate and oversee what shows get put on there.
Yeah.
And, we kind of did a couple months of negotiating, and they were like, how about 4 nights in March on our main stage? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That's incredible, dude. Yeah.
So I was extremely honored to have that opportunity. And then as far as the ability to travel with it, I really I found myself doing more research than ever as to what you could get through TSA. Just because some of the, if you've seen the show, some of the props are like kind of gnarly, and you're like, how much fake blood can I put in a check bag?
Yeah.
And things like that. And then I had to source some props locally once I got to New York, because I'm like, I'm not flying with a table or I'm not flying with a 5-gallon bucket, but those are things I can go find once I get there.
For sure.
Whereas when I did it in Atlanta, we're talking 6 hours up from Jack's, everything in the car, just zip on up there. I try to work with people on the show, on the technical side of things, that know me and know the show pretty well. So that's a whole other part of the equation, because all those people I've worked with are based in Ohio. I'm going to have to start kind of broadening my horizon soon, but I've always found a way to arrange to get them out to where I'm doing the show.
Nice.
You know, and
do they purchase, or how does it go? Like, do they purchase the show for you to come and do it in a way, or do you pay for the space and then you sell tickets for it? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so I've never paid for a space. Usually, when you're booking something like this, it's some sort of ticket split with the venue.
Okay.
You know, actually, when I did Atlanta Fringe, that was one of those where it was like my show was picked, and they were like, since you're sharing the space with other artists, there was like a subsidized participation fee, but then I kept 100% of those ticket sales, which was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas most venues, and this is kind of what I look for when I'm approaching places, is a ticket split, because it is also in their best interest to market the show, because if I don't make money, they don't make money.
True.
So I do kind of like betting on myself in that regard.
How difficult? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we were talking about something earlier where it's like when you pay to play, sometimes it's like, I think maybe the thing or the place you're paying for, it can kind of just be like, all right, you go do your thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I want them to have a little bit of interest too.
I'm curious though myself, because like we support local artists and businesses and stuff, and it's been New York, and I think of theater and I think of, you know, LA, and like, what is the landscape in film and like theater like here in Jacksonville? Because I feel like, other than like comedy, like we don't have a very strong, like,
yeah, it feels non-existent. Even comedy is like very non-existent.
Yeah,
like we've had like a couple comedians on here and they've spoken on the scene as well, but yeah, it does feel like very foreign in Jacksonville for sure.
I feel like any type of success, it would have to be like, you know, on the West Coast. And like, what's your thoughts on that? Because like, it sounds like New York's where, you know, things are happening and it hasn't been able to come here, and you're looking forward to that time. Like, what is the landscape like here in film? Is there good agencies, like for somebody that's looking to start, you know, creating their own type of plays and stuff like that? Like, where do they start in Jacksonville?
Man, that's such a great question. I think the thing that's so frustrating is Jacksonville's got it. Like, we have the people here. We really do. And I think, you know, and I'm kind of existing in this world right now where like my roots are here in Jacksonville, and I got to travel out for work. And I think when you travel out, the important thing is to come back, right?
Always.
Because the more you can go out into the world and say, hey, I am a guy from Duval County, Florida. Here's my art, and here's what it has to say. And you can get that like critical response and recognition and awards, and then you can come back to Jacksonville and say, but these are where my roots are. That's the way you help grow a scene. And I would say even in my time away, because I just moved back last May, spent 3 years at Ohio State, like I mentioned, I kind of watched the scene develop in a really interesting way from afar. Adam and Monique Madrid are really helping push the film scene along here in Jacksonville. And you're starting to see the culture shift a little bit in that regards, to where there's like an annual grant filmmakers can apply for here from the Greater Cultural Arts Council for $10,000 to make a film. And that's like,
wow,
that wasn't available like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
That's a life-changing amount of money, dude, for something like that. For like, if you're taking a show on the road, dude, 10 grand. I mean,
So they're trying
for
here in
sure.
Jackson.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
really good to hear.
I find it like to be comedy's pretty big here in Jacksonville, right?
I mean, even that, like, I think because we've had big comedians on the show from Jacksonville, like they at least have made a name for themselves. I actually went to one of Scott's comedy shows one time, and it surprised me because you're expecting it to be like a very big show, right? Well, I mean, at least I was expecting it to be like at least maybe 50 to 100 people or something like that in there. There was like 15 people in the crowd, and it was, I come to find out, it was like Scott's like smaller like weekday shows or whatever. But the amount of comedians that were performing surprised me. There was like 11 people or something that went out and did like a few minute set. It was like 10-minute set or something like that. And I thought that was very interesting. It does kind of show that like the talent and everything is here, but it's like the infrastructure and the marketing and like all of that, it seems like that's what's lacking in a way.
Yeah. And, you know, I also think it's venue support as well. So I'll kind of go off on a tangent a little bit. I'll let you know why it comes back. But I also serve on the board of directors with a local equity affiliated theater here in Jacksonville. So when I say equity affiliated, that means they produce in accordance with guidelines set by Actors Equity Association, meaning everybody that's working on the show is getting paid. We're abiding by like union protocols, so like max working hours in a day, things like that. And like not all theater around here are all artists involved getting paid. So we're a nomadic theater as well. So what that means is every show is in a new venue, which I think is really cool.
That's incredible, yeah.
And you see comedy shows like that, like Don't Tell Comedy and things like that. They're doing like site-specific shows, which I think can create a really engaging audience experience. That being said, I think a little bit of a challenge here in Jacksonville, which I would love to see change, is venue accessibility, as in lowering that cost, maybe offering those 50-50 ticket splits that I'm able to find elsewhere, or those 60-40 or whatever, you know, as opposed to $2,000 flat rate for a weekend, you know?
For sure.
You know, and I think if we can make our venues more accessible, then you will see the art start to blossom, because like I said, it's here. We have the people here. You know, I'm talking about going to the Atlanta Fringe Festival, and next week I go to the Asheville Fringe Festival, and it's like those festivals aren't just theater. They're music, they're comedy, they're sculpture art, they're street performers, there's puppetry. Like, it's such a broad range of artists, and I know we could have something like that here, but every Fringe Festival also partners with, you know, 6 to 12 venues that are willing to sort of do something that may not be as financially viable as booking a wedding for a weekend, you know, but they get to support the careers and growth of 70 artists for a weekend. And I don't think that can be understated.
No.
Yeah. That would be incredible to get something like that in Jacksonville, man. There's a couple guys. I want to give a shout out to Jeremy Ryan, because he's a music artist. Kind of, I'd probably say he's like more of a rapper than anything, but he's got some songs where he sings as well. And his girl Cutie, their music videos are like fucking movies, dude. It is like, it's just so, and you can tell like he takes it seriously. Like, he's all about the props and the fake blood and like all that stuff. And you don't realize like what kind of a team it takes to put some of these things together sometimes, you know, and having something like that in Jacksonville would be huge in my opinion. I think that it would definitely elevate a lot of people like yourself, but you know what I mean? But some of these other people where, you know, if you're trying to make it in theater in Jacksonville, like, it's probably a much tougher road than if you were in majority of the other cities, like especially like Columbus or New York or wherever, you know?
Well, I will also say the reality of being an artist, and this is something I didn't fully grasp, I think, until a few years ago. We were having like a lot of guest artists come through Ohio State, like really cool people and stuff. But I was sort of learning that to be an artist, you have to keep chipping away at things. And sometimes you're going to have an abundance of work, right? You're going to feel too busy. Like, for myself right now, in a 30-day stretch, I will have done 3 productions and a stage reading in 3 different cities, which is like mind-boggling. But then there's times where you won't really have a project for 2 months, and you got to kind of have that survival job to keep you floating from thing to thing. And so, you know, even people in Columbus or Atlanta that I would consider actors, and that's their primary profession, it's like, even in a city like that where it seems like there's an abundance of opportunity, you still got to kind of carry yourself from thing to thing and have that solid ground to stand on. So like I teach college right now, you know.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's sort of my thing.
It's probably more saturated too. Like, you got to think like Atlanta and New York, there's probably 10 times the amount of people that are trying to do this as the amount of people that are in Jacksonville, because the opportunity is there. You know, you probably have tons of people moving out of Jacksonville, for example, and going to New York and going to Atlanta to chase this. You know, that's where the opportunity is. That's where they're chasing it, you know? Yeah. a question that I kind of blanked on earlier that I meant to ask you was, how difficult is it to sell tickets for your show in another city?
Oh, it's insanely difficult.
I can only imagine.
I would say I largely work as an independent producer, and I would love for that not to be the case in the future. But, you know, when you are your own promoter of events, it's like, all right, I got to be the one staying up till 2 a.m. just creating like digital posters and posts for Instagram and things like that, scheduling when it's going to go out, what the caption's going to be. I got to research critics in the area, you know, to reach out to, send a press release. I got to remember to do that a month out, right? Do I want to make postcards? Okay, what are the postcards going to say? What businesses are going to allow me to put them in there? These are all the things you got to run through your mind before you even set foot down there. And like, you know, sometimes you look into services like, can I pay somebody to go pick up my posters from Staples and go hang them up places because I'm not going to be there for 2 more weeks and I want to get the word out as soon as possible.
For sure.
Like those are the things that are running through your mind. So yeah, it is pretty difficult, but I will also say I've been very fortunate to have done like multi-show runs. Like when I did Atlanta, I did 6 shows.
Wow.
And when I did New York, I did 4 shows. And my very last show in New York was my most well-attended show in the New York run. And they were all pretty decently attended. But the thing that really surprised me was at that last show, I didn't know a single person in the audience. Like I was very thankful. I knew people in New York that were going to come support the show, you know. That last show, the most well-attended show, I didn't know a single person in the audience, which told me that word of mouth was doing the most
Absolutely.
work. And so I think it's so important. And, you know, I bet somebody like Scott can teach to this or speak to this. You may have 15 people out in the crowd, but those 15 people can all go tell 2 people, and then you have 30 people, and they can tell 2 people, and that's 60 people.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget one of my favorite shows I've ever performed. It was at Atlanta Fringe. And when you're doing a Fringe festival, they make you do all sorts of time slots. And I had a show that was at 10:30 at night on a Wednesday. And I was like, nobody is coming to this. Nobody, and my pre-sale was 5 tickets. And I was like, nobody is coming to this. And I knew 3 of those tickets were my wife, my best friend, and his wife, right? And we were all out at dinner before, and I was like, hey, I got to go to the theater. Y'all can get there like 5 minutes before. I don't think anyone's coming. And I'm backstage getting ready, and my stage manager texts me, and they're like, hey, we're holding house. They're adding seats to the theater. And I'm like, what? And I go out there, and with the way the show opens, it's very braggadocious. And I just remember that crowd screaming their heads off. And I was like, oh, my God, where did this come from? And it's word of mouth, you know?
For sure. That's a really good point. Yeah, I bet that's got to be a crazy feeling, like going out on stage like that, and you're expecting to be a few people, and you get out there and it's actually a couple hundred or whatever it was. That's insane.
Other than like having like that support system, like show up at your shows, what is like your key, or who's your inspiration? Like, I know you mentioned you have a wife. Like, I also want to know like the importance of your wife in your, you know, time in film and stuff, but also like what keeps you inspired?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Yeah, first, my wife, Alex, she's incredible. We're literally high school sweethearts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, literally in my vows, I was like, we're the high school sweethearts that made it out. Like, we've been together for going on 12 years now. And so, you know, to have somebody, it's easy to be around somebody when they're the man of the hour, right? It's a lot of people leave you when, you know, you kind of don't have a lot of work going on, or you don't seem like you have a lot of personal success. And so to have somebody that loves you the same through all of it, and I would say even more importantly, loves you more when you're down on yourself and need it the most, I can't overstate how that has allowed me to persist in my art and my creativity and my everything. So I say in pretty much all my like little bio notes and programs and things that like my wife is like the reason for my creative perseverance. And then the other part of it is I have such a strong motivation to do it for myself and to show up for myself, because I think it's easy to look around at other people and the success they're having and compare yourself to that, but you're on totally different timelines.
Totally different.
And how would yourself a year ago, 2 years ago, compare themselves to somebody in your shoes right now? Mm-hmm. And when you see the path you've walked, it's very easy to be proud of yourself. And, you know, I heard someone say the other day, it's like, wouldn't you be so much more excited to be rejected for the next opportunity if you knew you were 100 no's away from your big yes?
For sure.
And so, you know, I don't even get worried about stuff like that anymore, you know, when things don't go my way, because I know, because I have a support system both in marriage and in my own artistry, kind of based on Ohio State, where I'm not waiting on anyone to give me my next opportunity. Like I'll go make it.
Yeah, see, that is an awesome one. One quote that comes to mind is comparison is a thief of joy. And dude, holy shit, is it? Like, yeah. I've fallen victim to that so many times, like comparing this show to other shows. I mean, Hayden, we were just talking about it recently, where you kind of forget some of the shit you've done. Like when you're so busy and you're like so focused on like creating and like growing, the only thing you're thinking about is your next move. You know, like once you've done something, it's kind of like leaves your brain in a way, you know, like we'll record an episode, it'll be a really good episode and like we'll enjoy it for the next 5 days. But then after that, you start prepping for the next one. And then before you know, you're 10 episodes past, you know, that one episode you were so proud of doing. And oh God, dude, I mean, there's been so many times where like, you know, I'll look at other shows and I'm like, damn, how did they do that? You know, and it almost kind of, you learn to turn that into like a fuel, like a motivation, like fuel kind of, where you're like, okay, I can do that too. Like it's possible, you know? And yeah, you can't compare yourself, man, to anyone else's journey. Cause like you said, it's so different. Everyone's timeline is so different. And you never know when like low key you're about to surpass that person, you know, you don't see it coming. And then before you know it, you like look back and you're like, oh, I'm at the same level of the people that I used to fucking look up to, you know? That was a really good point. One thing I wanted to ask you, is your wife's maiden name Heap?
Yeah.
No fucking way. Okay, so we have deeper roots than what I thought. She's a twin, right? Maddie's her twin or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That is so funny, because I low-key, like, I know of Maddie. Like, we don't hang out or anything, but, like, I know her from high school pretty much.
That's crazy.
That's so funny. Small world, bro.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, Alex Bennett. I was like, why does that name sound so fucking familiar? It's Alex, right?
Yeah.
I was like, Alex Bennett, that name sounds so familiar. I was like, I know a girl, it's like Alex Heap Bennett or something like that. That's so funny. Small world.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm curious, who's your favorite actor?
Oh man, that, you know, my answer is sort of ever evolving. I can't pick one, but I would say some actors I'm consistently inspired by. I mean, Denzel Washington.
Amen.
That's
my
a
number.
good one.
You took it out of my.
That's a really
my
good one.
number one always.
Yeah.
Like always.
Yeah. He's just like a master of just saying the words. You know, sometimes we try and put too much on top of it, but like, he's just looking people in the eyes and just sending it to you, you know? And also, you know, if we're talking like some more contemporary people, like I think Florence Pugh is really phenomenal. Andrew Garfield's great.
Oh, yeah.
Got to.
And like, you know, I don't want to talk trash too much on like all his modern work, but like stuff that Tom Cruise did like back in the 90s and things like that. Like A Few Good Men is one of my favorite movies of all time.
This is where I wanted the conversation to go, because I am stuck watching the same shows over and over again. Like, what are you watching nowadays?
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of finishing Detroiters, which is a comedy series from back in the day by Tim Robinson, who was on I Think You Should Leave. And he has this like over heightened style of comedy that I think is just off the wall. And I love comedy, and I think comedy actually requires such an insane amount of vulnerability to look that stupid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
and I
sure.
also think you have to be so smart to be so dumb sometimes in the writing. Like I think Andy Samberg and like the Lonely Island guys are like masters of that.
Oh yeah.
That's a great reference.
I love him.
And I recently finished Stranger Things, and then when I was in New York, I saw their stage show, which I was so curious what that was going to be like.
Stranger Things stage show?
Yeah, so they have a Broadway show, and I had heard that it connected some dots in the show, and to be honest, like, not really. You're fine if you don't see it.
Yeah.
What I will say is, as a guy who is doing a solo show that has horror elements to it, to see it executed with probably a $20,000 budget was mind-blowing.
Wow.
Really?
Like that's what I think people need to see from a theatrical standpoint. It's like, if you can go see the biggest and best, you can go see what is truly possible and immersive in a theatrical space. I mean, seeing like a pool of fog just sort of like float off the stage and over the audience, and then you're seeing a Demogorgon drag a guy across the stage, gunshots going, like, you're like, how did they make that? How did they make that happen live? Like,
and you only get one take. That's the impressive part, in my opinion.
Yes.
Is like, you have to nail it on that first try. Dude, there's so many times, like, we don't really do it as much anymore, but we would start an intro and we would like redo it. You know what I mean? Because like we'd go on a tangent or something, or just like the conversation would get lost. And I'm like, we can do better than that, you know? And you're always like, the second or third take is always better than the first, regardless of how you do it, you know? And it's so funny. Like, I couldn't imagine if every single, like, I couldn't, like, if we had to do this pod, I mean, some people do it where it's like a live show, it's on radio or whatever, and that's a one take thing. And I've got like so much praise for people to do that. Like, the people that are still on radio, it's like, once you start a podcast or whatever, you realize how talented they actually are to do it all just on the first time. But I couldn't imagine doing like a theatrical, like, full performance. I mean, if the ball drops in one place, like, you don't have the option to be like, all right, pause.
yeah,
You know, it's like, you got to keep that shit going, you know?
100%. Also, to your point, I just want to shout out Rick Ballou. That guy
Oh my
does
God.
this. That's my favorite radio show on 1010. I think he's one of the greatest monologuists. Like, he's doing that all on his own.
True. No,
And,
okay.
and the fact that he's carrying that and he keeps it going and he doesn't like trip up, it requires a certain level of technical preparation to be that consistent, because the hardest thing when you're learning to act on stage is to not show that you've made a mistake. Sometimes I'll drop a line in my own show, or I'll kind of skip a line, but like, if you wince or like, if you kind of like make a noise or like do something with your hands, you're telling everybody else, I just messed up, right?
Yeah.
And I will say, Rick, in his radio show, he doesn't have any of those tells. You know, so I think he's great from that standpoint.
That is such a good like shout out too, because I listen to his show religiously. I listen to all the 1010 shows religiously. But
Yeah, him and the drill. Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, the drill, dude. See, that's like one of my favorites, just because I never miss it. I'm always in the car whenever they're on. But like, just that chemistry, like, there's something special to, like, no matter what kind of day you're having. And sometimes you can tell, like, Dan Hickens, like, off to the bowl. Like, you know, like, he's, like, pissed off about the game last night or whatever the case was, you know. But, like, they still go in there and, like, have this chemistry. And, like, their job is to, like, entertain you. And they always do it. Rick Ballou is so interesting because he's solo majority of the time. And that has got to be... I've actually recorded a couple of solo episodes I've never dropped. And just to see, because I actually used to listen to Theo Von shit all the time. And Theo Von will do, like, multiple solo episodes, you know, in a week or something. Like, you'll see Theo Von, he'll drop like multiple back-to-back solo episodes, and they're so good.
Yeah.
And like, he's got things that, like, you know, he's got like people calling in, and like he's reading off of like certain things on
King of
socials or
talking
whatever.
into the void, man.
Yeah, literally, bro. You're just talking to the void. But
Holy.
that's Rick Ballou does it. Like, you would think that you're sitting there talking to Rick. It's like, that was a really good shout out, because you don't really think about it. And when you're just driving down the road and you're listening to him, you're like, okay, this guy's got, you know, you should be this good. You know, you're on radio. But when you actually like sit down and critique him, especially compared to some of the other shows, like, there are certain shows on 1010 that, like, to be honest, I can't really get into the Hacker After Dark. Like, shout out to Hacker. I think that, you know, Ryan Hacker Green, he's a stud. You know what I mean? I think he's great, and all the praise to him. But like, he just doesn't do some of the things that I like about the other shows, you know, and you could tell there's certain times where like he'll have a take where he'll kind of like backtrack on it or whatever. And, but no, yeah, that's interesting, bro.
Daylight savings got me so bad the other day. I hadn't switched the clock in my car yet, and I thought I was turning on Into the Night, and it was Hacker After Dark, and I was like, no!
I'm thrown off by the time, or the daylight savings right now. I'm like, it should be dark right now.
I never miss the Dan Hicken intro. Anyone that watches the drill, you know the Dan Hicken intro is like iconic, bro. Like every episode, it's like you know, he always has like a different song that he comes out to, and it's like this whole thing. If you don't live in Jacksonville or listen to drill, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But
so can I take this a step further for you?
yeah, do it.
So in that preparation standpoint, so I'm self-directed for my solo show, which means when I'm rehearsing, it's just me in a room. And so like the discipline that requires to know what I need from myself.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah.
I think some of these radio guys have that same thing where it's like you have to be so insanely honest with yourself to know when you're not on your A game or what it is you're specifically trying to achieve. And I have hours of rehearsal footage.
Really?
Yeah, it's like anything else. You go home, you watch the tape.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I need that outside lens that the audience is going to see.
For sure.
And, you know, my show has a couple sections that are very movement heavy. I don't really want to spoil what that means.
No, please don't. We want to go to this damn thing whenever you're ready to Jax.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And yeah, I always get asked if I have like a dance background. I'm like, no, I don't. But like, I know from a physical specificity standpoint how I want it to look. And then I have to go watch that video and make sure that what I see up here is what is being broadcast out there.
Do you ever like fumble any? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that like sometimes you'll fumble a line or whatever the case may be, but have you ever had one that's like drastic? You know what I mean? Like you mess something up on stage and it's visible that you made a mistake, because that would end me. Like if I was up there and like I made a mistake and then everyone knows you made a mistake, it would ruin my like train of thought. Like there's things like, you know, whenever you're recording a podcast, like sometimes like you'll forget a question or something like that, and you can always cut all that out. You know what I mean? And it's like no one's ever going to really see that. And even if they do, it's like 2 seconds where you just fucked up. But like when you're on stage, people paid money to get a ticket to see this, and you're up there and you fumble.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do then? Like, has that ever happened to you where it's been like so drastic where?
For sure. When you've kind of been in that world enough and something goes wrong, and this can even happen on film, it's like, you don't ruin the take. You improvise, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you drop a line in a film take, just make a moment of it. You know, find something to do until you do find that line. I had a moment when I was doing Phil Mitchell. This is pretty early on. This is one of the most iconic ad libs I've ever had that I've since figured out how to make sure it never happens again. But I went to pull the mic closer to me. It was on an arm like this, and the arm completely fell off the table. So it was like, it was at the beginning of the show too. And I just took the mic off the arm and I just went, well, this is why we tied. And then I just tossed the mic arm behind me and just kept going, you know?
Yes,
and it
that's
crushed
perfect.
the audience, but it was like, I took a moment, acknowledged the awkwardness in the room, and then just kept it rolling.
Comedians do a great job of that, man, because you'll have hecklers that you can see they definitely like visibly get in their head. You know what I mean? And that's like the job of a heckler. Like they go there to do that shit anyway, you know, and like sometimes they're successful with it. And you can see it on the comedian too. Like they'll kind of like be kind of retracing like what they said, and they're trying to get back on track or whatever. And it's so interesting. It really does take a like true skill to be able to bounce back from that.
Yeah, it's only something you get with practice too. I mean, you think about sports and a broken play, and it's just like, how good of an improviser are you? How in sync are you with your teammates, your cast members, et cetera? Yeah.
How many times have you done this? The Phil Mitchell, like this exact play that you're doing. How many times have you done this one?
I think, let me do some quick math. I think 20 times, and I'm about to go do it at a festival next week.
Do you get tired of it? How long are you going to drag this on for?
Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm figuring out right now. It's how long do I want to keep doing it? You know, I still have fun doing it, and I'm still finding ways to make the show better. Like the whole thing where I was talking about the microphone changing the quality of my voice, that was something we added in before this New York run. So it was like another evolution. My dream is, you know, I kind of formed a 3-year plan coming out of grad school, and I really want to take the show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is in Scotland. It's the biggest theater festival in the world. It's sort of like the Olympics for theater, so to speak. And I want to take the show to Edinburgh. And from Edinburgh, people have gotten off Broadway runs. You know, I would say what I just did was off Broadway is what it's considered.
So it's similar to how a comedian will kind of take like a comedian will go on tour and they'll do the exact same line of jokes like the whole time. They'll switch things up here and there, you know, and like change it based on the audience. But what I've kind of taken from it, and I'm not a huge like comedy fanatic or whatever, but you can kind of see them like they'll do a big tour, and then at the end of the tour they'll like film it and they'll drop it as a special, and then that'll be kind of like the end of the run for those jokes because now it's all like out there on Netflix or on YouTube or wherever they put it. And so it kind of seems like it's similar to that with the play, where it's like you keep kind of running it and perfecting the craft and perfecting like the way that it's all, you know, drawn out and how the play happens, and then once you kind of get out of it or you kind of master that play, then I guess you move on to the next one, right?
Yeah, 100%. You're always working on other things in the background too. You know, I've plays in development and things like that. And yeah, I do plan to film it eventually. I think if I secure the venue I want to here in Jacksonville, we're gonna film it professionally here in Jax. Cause
so you don't film the ones that you're doing right now?
I mean, I film them for my archival purposes. But no, not to like broadcast out into the world or anything, because I have a very specific way I would like it shot. And, you know, I think theater through film, it's really difficult to capture the experience. Like that Stranger Things show I just mentioned, they're doing a pro shot of that. It's been on Broadway for like 2 years. They're going to be filming it and releasing it on Netflix. And I guarantee you, it'll be okay over film, but it will not match what the experience was being there in person.
Sure.
And I think that's sort of why I'm getting so much mileage out of the show right now, is because it is sort of an experience. Like I said, when you see somebody knock their teeth out right in front of you on stage, it's like, how did they do that? What?
Well, I'll be honest. Like, if it was me and I built this show, and like you said, it took, you know, over a year for you to even, like, you start talking to the guy in New York and you didn't even do the show until like a year later. And if I was building something like that and I kept like putting together all these puzzle pieces, and then I finally started getting some like spots where I can actually perform the show, I mean, I would run that shit to the wheels fall off, to be 100% honest with you, bro. You know, especially like as you keep mastering the lines, you know, every show's going to get better, like as you do more of them. Do you ever find yourself getting bored with the play or like the writing in it or anything like that?
I wouldn't say bored so much as like I get tired sometimes. It's a very super physical show. I've never made it through a run of the show and been like 100% healthy on the other side of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, usually I'll say it's my hamstrings, but like and that's just me sounding old, but dude, my knees have been sore. We're recording Wednesday, and I did my last show on Sunday, and my knees are on fire still.
Really?
You know,
we got to see this damn show. Jesus, now I'm like curious. I'm like, shit, what is?
I saw blood and gore. I was like, all right, shit.
Knocks his teeth out. I'm like, shit, give me a ticket.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of me, and I also think like I get tired of going into the barber and be like, yep, the sideburns, the mustache, and then I just got to rock that look for like 2 weeks or whatever.
That's true. Yeah, like whatever character you're kind of playing, you have to. So if it's up to you, what are you shaving the mustache, shaving the sideburns and everything, and like short haircut? What does a normal look like?
So I kind of like the long shaggy hair. I think that's a surfer in me. You know, maybe not quite this long, but you know, my wife likes the mustache, so I usually try and keep that. But I either go clean shaven or full beard.
Okay.
And right now we're very much somewhere in between because I'm between shows.
You got a good stash.
Yeah, you do have a good stash. Got to give the dude credit, bro. He's got a fucking stash.
I was going to say, I just cut a promo for Asheville Fringe. I don't know when they're posting it, but I was just like, you know, if you come out to see the show and you think you have a better mustache than me, no, you don't.
Yep.
But I'll see you there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Asheville's got to be a great place to do something like that, man. Like, Asheville, it's so weird. Like, that city is so, like, creative and, like, yeah, I think that'd probably be a good market for the show.
100%. You're in the Bible Belt, man.
What's the Bible Belt?
The Bible Belt is like kind of like along the Appalachian Mountains, right? And it's where like those Pentecostal churches existed. Some still do, but like, have you ever heard of like snake churches and things like that? It's kind of like where those exist. And so it's like kind of like a really strange and somewhat archaic form of Christianity. And these churches, they're very small. There's like towns where the Pentecostal churches, there's like more churches than there are like homes. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God.
Asheville's not necessarily one of those. Like, it's a pretty vibrant area, but it's sort of it's got that stuff in its backyard, you know.
Yeah, that's sick.
So I was closing the show in New York Sunday, and there was a guy in the audience. He had a Bible with him, and I was like, "What is that about? What is that about?" I don't know what show this guy thought he was gonna come see.
He saw Rapture and he was like, "Oh, perfect! I gotta make sure."
Yeah.
He probably just converted to Christianity right before the show.
And then we had like a physical phone outside the theater, which is something we're gonna start doing at our shows, where people could leave a message after the show.
That's cool,
right? And this one guy, and I swear in my mind it was this guy with the Bible. It was kind of creepy because most people were either doing a bit, which was very funny, or they were like, "This show is amazing." Da 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 da. This one guy's on the phone, and this is all it is for like 9 seconds. He's just like, "Peace and light, peace and light, peace and light, peace and light, peace and light." And I'm like, that's a fucking crazy person. That was definitely that guy in the back row.
Yeah, I delete that message so quick. Just like it's cursed, it's possessed. You know what I mean? That's so funny. Dude, I'm so into it now. I mean, before you came in here and sat down, it's like I didn't know anything about theater or plays or whatever, but like just hearing you describe it and your passion for it, dude, fires me up. So
thank you, man.
Definitely keep going with it, man. I would love to see one of these shows in person.
We wish
bro.
you the best. That's sick.
I appreciate it, boys.
Yeah.
If you ever
clueless, and now I'm like, okay, we gotta go. Like, let us know as soon as there's something
100%.
nearby,
I feel like we
'cause
could even learn like a ton of things. Like this podcast is improvised. Like this is improv.
Well, I just did a New York trip, and I went and saw the Michael Jackson play and stuff like that, and that was like such a cool experience. First play I've ever seen. I haven't even seen like any Hamilton or anything.
What was that like?
It was crazy because like, being that he's dead, it's a great story. I love Michael Jackson, but they did talk about like the controversial stuff and like
really
kind of poked at that. And like you were saying, like there's giant walls and stuff that kind of you go from street side to his bedroom to then being outside of his bed. It's the coolest thing seeing it all kind of come together. And I have one question actually. Outfit changes. How the hell do y'all do this? Like, do you do a lot of outfit changes, or what's the secret? And do you literally have like people back there that are like changing you? And like when you're doing the outfit changes in place, like how does that work?
Because it has to be quick, right? Like people, you don't want to have them waiting.
Change. Yeah. So usually like it'll be a couple wardrobe assistants, right? And they'll be standby, ready with the costume in the exact way. They'll be holding it in the exact way that you need to jump into it, or they'll be in the exact positions where they're ready to like pull the pins out of the previous thing and get you out of the previous
impressive.
suit. And yeah, I mean, it's a craft like anything else. Like costumers have to work very, very hard to create a piece of wardrobe that says this is telling some sort of a story, right? Like my costume with Phil Mitchell tells you this guy's got money, this guy's a little conceited, right? But they also have to create costumes that service the needs of the performer, not the character. So if I got to do a crazy dance number, well, I need fabric that can breathe, that can stretch, things like that. And those are all the little considerations that go into stuff like that. But yeah, I think quick changes are pretty magical. I don't have a ton of experience with it, but like I did a show one time where I had to get harnessed because they were going to hoist me up in the air. And I remember like running off stage, jumping into this belt and them like hooking me in. And then it's like, all right, 30 feet up, shoot.
God, you hope this it's like a Disney ride. It's like, I hope they strap me in right on the slingshot. You know?
No,
It's like,
true. Would you ever like to add a couple people to the show? Like whether it's actors or just people helping behind the scenes so that you can do some of these more elaborate scene changes and stuff like that?
100%. I like I said, I'm sort of my own producer right now as well, and thankfully I'm always able to bring a friend in as a stage manager who's the person running the technical side of the show, right? So like when I'm on stage, I don't have to worry about how the lights are moving and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like I would need more help because it would open up the possibility of what I can achieve with this. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you're talking about something like that's the Rapture, it's like, okay, you want to create those effects theatrically, meaning we know it's not like a movie where it's going to look exactly like the thing. We know there's like a little bit of aesthetic distance, but how can we create an experience for the audience that makes them feel like they're somewhere different? And sure. I know I can achieve that with more people. And in addition to the production I have planned for Jacksonville, it's like I have a dream version of this show. It's going to cost $10,000.
Oh, really?
And it's like, who wants to cut that check.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure. Yeah,
because I know I can deliver.
Yeah,
but I don't have $10,000 to throw into this. You know what I mean?
for sure.
That's awesome.
Oh God, it's such a craft, dude. Shout out to you for everything you've done with the show, man. I think it's really sick. And then I would love to see in person. I'd also love to see like the recorded version too, or just like what it really looks like. Because you got this image in your head, and I've seen pictures you posted before where you're like in character, and like listening to you describe it, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. At least he matched like the aesthetic look that you're supposed to have. But no, dude, shout out to you. I think it's really cool that you're doing this for real.
Appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know when the show's in town. And anyone that wants to keep up, it's like best way is either going to be my website or my Instagram, both at official Noah Bennett.
Okay.
2 N's and 2 T's. Yeah.
Sweet. Do you have a separate like handle or anything for the show itself? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the Phil Mitchell Radio Hour.
Okay.
And like I said, we just had audience members leave those voicemails. So we're going to start posting some of those very soon.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and that was the whole idea was, because I'm a one-man team, for the most part, it's how can I get a little crafty with marketing? And it's like, well, if I can get direct audience feedback,
Yeah, that's really the best.
And I actually had set up a phone number that people could call. I tried that previously, and nobody really did it because they forgot about it. It was an extra step. But it's like if you put a physical phone right outside the theater, it's like
they can't forget. They got to walk right past it.
Yeah, and people get a kick out of it.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
Interactive. It's kind of like a wedding. Like I think they do that at weddings now too.
And
that's true. Yeah.
I did that at my wedding. That's where it came from. Now, granted, I bought a whole new phone for the show. I remember my wife, she was like, why didn't you just take our phone? And I was like, felt a little wrong.
Yeah. That's sting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So let's go ahead and plug these people in, bro. I know you said you've got like some stuff lined up in Asheville and then Atlanta too, right?
So I already did the Atlanta show.
Okay.
I'm doing the show at the Asheville Fringe Festival, March 15th through the 22nd. So I think it'll probably be like right in the middle of when this airs or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. You guys better hurry. If you're watching this episode right now, run to Asheville and go watch the show.
And then keep an eye out this summer. I'll probably be doing a production here around town. In the meantime, like I said, I serve on the board of directors for Lumen Repertory Theater. We've got an amazing production coming up. I'm not involved artistically, just sort of behind the scenes, but we have a production of a show called The Pillow Man. So if you want to come experience some bold local theater, you can check out what we have to offer over at Lumen Rep.
Dude, we'd be all over
I'm
that,
so
bro.
excited.
That would be so
It's
cool.
gonna be so
But yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it,
awesome.
boys.
Hey, and do you have anything else, brother?
No, man.
Yeah, dude, this is super sick. I'm really glad that like, this is still a thing. It kind of seems like it felt like
I've never been so proud of a guest before. Like,
well, yeah, for whatever
I want to
reason,
like give you like good shit.
Well, I just
Like,
want to help support you. Like whatever you got coming up next, like let us know. We'll definitely help you do it, like promo for it or whatever. I don't know how we can help with it, but
I appreciate it. Let me just say one more thing. I mean, y'all won best podcast, 904 best podcast
Appreciate
portfolio, and congratulations, well deserved. But I think part of it speaks to what y'all are doing. Y'all are representing Jacksonville and the people of the city. And yes, you have a broad range of guests you get on this show. But you're giving these people a platform. Like we talked about, we have it here.
Yeah.
We really do have it here. And so thank you all for building what you built. This is dope.
Oh, thank you,
and
bro.
I appreciate you all having me on.
Yeah, dude. Hey, we've always been standing on this, bro. Underdog City, man.
Yep.
That's the thing. We're here. Everyone, like, there's so many interesting. There's like hundreds of people that like are in Jax you wouldn't even realize are in Jax. So we want to get on the show too, where you never know what someone's up to in Jax, man. It almost feels like people are like a little more low key about their craft or their passions in Jacksonville, like for whatever reason. And shit, you're a prime example of that. We didn't really know much about you until you came through, and just what you told me, over message or whatever. And I was like, dude, this guy sounds pretty sick. We've never had anyone like this on the pod before, but like Hayden said, just to harp on that, like, dude, fucking super proud of you. I think it's super sick what you've been doing. So, yeah. This is episode 148. Yeah, shout out to all the OGs that are watching this episode, and we'll see y'all next week. Appreciate you, Noah.
Appreciate you.